What's going on, guys? This is the RPO podcast. We are back live with the college football podcast. Guys, I'm so glad to be here. My name is Jerome Jones. We got TJ Mathewson. How you doing, TJ?
I'm doing great, Jerome. It was nice to see the Big 10 back this week. Got to see your Wolverines. They look good. We'll talk about them later, but it's good to have 4 or 5 now, and this time in 2 weeks we'll get all 5.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the one, the only, Mr. Ray Roberts. Man, we missed you last week. How you been?
I'm good, man. How about you guys?
Doing good. We're doing better that you're back, man. We're doing better that you're back. All right, let's get right into it, guys. We got a lot to talk about. We got, like TJ was talking about, we got some Big 10 news. So let's get right into the breaking news of the day. Big 10 news. Wisconsin game just got postponed or canceled. They just got a COVID incident where I believe it was 12 to 20 players got tested positive for COVID-19. So first and foremost, we want to wish all the players great health. Hopefully they get recovered from it. Hopefully they stay safe and all that. Second, I want to know what you guys think about that, because that is big news. Now they're not going to be able to play Nebraska this weekend. Big 10 is already playing only 8 games. So how would this impact the Big 10 and Wisconsin and Nebraska all together? Start with you, TJ. What do you think about this whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky because we knew going into both the Big 10 and the Pac-12 season, they had no bye weeks. There's no wiggle room with this, and they were trusting that the same-day testing and the responsibility of the athletes and coaches would keep everyone healthy and they can play 8 games in 8 weeks. It took 1 week for that to get messed up. And it's gonna mess up the whole league probably, because you might have like depending on how many games Wisconsin misses, a 6-0 Wisconsin team versus in that they play in the West. Yeah, they play in the West. So the 6-0 Wisconsin versus a 6-2 Minnesota, or no, it would be a 7-1 Minnesota team. Let's say if they win out, for example, on that side for whoever gets to play Ohio State. And it's, you're juggling, the scenarios there at the end, and shows that there's still flaws in this in this system, that it's not perfect. And obviously we learn new things about the virus every week, every day. And it's, it's tricky to get a hold of. And I feel like I have one more thing to say, but I can't remember. I'll let Ray go.
Go ahead, Ray.
It just depends on how many other games are going to have to be canceled because of this, I guess. I mean, let's face it, Wisconsin's not that good anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. But it just matters how many games are going to miss down the road now. How many other games are they not going to be able to play now? They're the team that's going to hurt, so.
Yeah, first and foremost, I mean, I don't know if you've seen that Wisconsin game, but they was looking pretty good. They was really good. Their quarterback was playing well. Actually, the report actually started off with him only having COVID. He was supposed to be opted out for 21 days. So there was big questions about, is Wisconsin going to be good and without him? And now they had to opt out the entire team. So what was you going to say, TJ?
So that was what I was about to say. So the Big 10's policy right now is that if someone tests positive for COVID-19, unlike the ACC, unlike the SEC, unlike the Big 12, you got to sit out 3 weeks. I think that's going to get changed because that's logistically too difficult. However, obviously it comes from good graces to try and stop the spread within the team, like we've seen. Teams in the Big 12 and the SEC and the ACC has said, we're missing like 30 guys this week. It's like, and they don't even bat an eye and go and shoot up 60 scholarship guys and go after it. And it's clamping down a little bit more, but then it also can backfire on you. And then Wisconsin has to cancel a game. I'm glad they're taking, the precautions to try and prevent the spread throughout the team into Nebraska, because as we've seen in other leagues, teams will just, go on and play anyway.
Definitely. Any last thoughts, Ray?
I mean, that's the thing. Like when I said they weren't that good, they don't have the depth that these other teams have, and they're not going to be able to recover from it. And again, how many other games are they not going to be able to play now? And how is that going to affect the other teams in their conference? So,
Yeah, it's definitely a tough situation. They was late. Big Ten came late to the dance, and now we have no idea how this is going to resolve.
yeah,
They're just gonna,
now Cinderella's looking for her glass slipper again. So
yeah. So, first and foremost, we want to thank all our commenters. We got another comment here. This is coming from I can't tell that one. Oh, here it is. Avery Collins. So thank you, Avery Collins. I know say inside the hatches right there. Not sure what's going on. We've been having some Facebook issues, but thank you, Avery. He said these leagues don't fully care about COVID.
Money matters more.
Yeah, money. Especially when they've been losing their money already, and they've seen that the money's been getting lost. So I totally agree with that statement. So guys, I haven't said it earlier, so this is an interactive podcast. So if you do have your questions or anything we talk about, if you want to talk, ask us questions in here, please put it in the chat room and we will get to it. It might not say your name again. We have some issues with Facebook. But we'll definitely put it on. I'll definitely shout you out. I have it right here for everybody. So let's get into our review from week 8. We got a lot of good games. Our first week of Big 10 football. So we're definitely excited to talk about that. Let's get right into it. Let's get into the first game we're going to talk about is Purdue versus Iowa. That one was a very good game. It was better than me and TJ initially thought. TJ, I wanted to hear your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, I'm not as fluent in Purdue and Iowa, right? I'm not. I didn't get to watch the game. There's a lot of other ones on that, frankly, I had a bigger interest in. I know David Bell, who is Big Ten, who's a freshman All-American last year, Big Ten Freshman of the Year, was the Big Ten co-offensive player of the week. He had 3 touchdowns, including the game winner late in the game. Turnovers were big. Purdue forced one while Iowa was up 4, driving down in the fourth quarter, forced a fumble. Purdue drives down, scores the game-winning touchdown, holds on to win the game. So that was big. Purdue able to survive the loss of Rondale Moore for 1 game. I don't know if we don't know why he's out. We don't know if it's COVID related. We don't know if he's just not. If he's hurt, they've given absolutely nothing. I tried figuring it out. And it's it was a little puzzling, but Iowa or Purdue was able to hold on with that and come away with the win.
So as you might have seen from our podcast from last week, me and TJ took Iowa to win this game. They did not win. Ray wasn't here with us, so he couldn't put in his pick. So I'm curious what you thought before this game, Ray, and what you thought of the actual game.
I thought it was a decent game. Again, no Rondale Moore, so they needed someone to step up, and good for them. David Bell did. So I mean, I don't think. Again, I'm not sure how good these teams are going to be this year and how much of an impact they're really going to make. Brock Purdy's been too inconsistent most of the year, so
Definitely. So Bell had a great game, 121 yards, 3 touchdowns. It seemed like his quarterback O'Connell, that's the only person he could really throw to, because he had all his touchdowns going to just him, and he had 2 picks as well. So
another thing that I realized during this game, that I'm always on Twitter during games, right? I always love seeing everything possible, but this game is just like somewhat of an epitome of Big Ten football. I counted 10 drives in this game where the teams were just like 5 plays, 4 yards, punt, 5 plays, like 10 yards, punt, like all that, like just boring. Like Big Ten football is obviously slower. The athletes they're not quite as fast on the field, not quite as explosive. So leading to some more boring drives, more 3 and outs, et cetera, et cetera. I thought I had a chuckle at that.
Definitely. All right. So Juan just put up a comment about Rutgers football. So I'm going to just leave it up here, but we will talk about that. So Juan, please stay tuned to that. We will talk about Rutgers in a second. But let's get to our next game. let's get to Miami versus Virginia. What you guys think about this one, Ray? I'm sorry with you.
I think the Eric King had a nice game. I mean, his completion percentage wasn't great, but he did a lot of nice things downfield. He's one of them guys he likes to just throw the ball deep when he does throw it, and he usually throws a decent catchable long ball. But just again, I'm not sure what to think. I mean, I kind of listened to your guys' podcast from last week. I'm just not sure what to think about Miami from week to week. They're just so up and down, So
yeah.
And the thing is, like Miami's wins, they're not like great wins. They're not beating elite teams. The elite team they played, they got smacked in the mouth.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like they belonged on the same field, but when they're playing everyone else, they're, squeaking by. I was expecting, a little bit more of a dominant win. Miami was able to take advantage of the weather. It was sloppy and rainy. They held Virginia to just 14 points. They couldn't get anything going on the ground, but, D'Eriq King was really, really efficient through the air. I honestly, when I was looking at yardage totals and such from this game, looking at highlights, I was kind of shocked the margin of victory wasn't a little bit more for Miami, but they were able to get a close win, and D'Eriq King able to weather the elements and still look very, very good as we thought he's looked this season.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment, especially the fact that, with the bad weather, they was slinging the ball. I was very surprised with that. And, to see they only had 122 rushing yards in a game like that, you would think that in those elements you would want to run more, but they was passing more. But it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt them. But also, only a 5-point win against a struggling Virginia. It was very interesting to see that lineup. Virginia only had 7 points into the fourth quarter, though, so I will grant that. But the Virginia's defense did keep it close.
And I was also earlier this season, I was really encouraged what I was seeing from Virginia, and they played Clemson really well. And their quarterback, Brennan Armstrong, looked really good, and they were scoring points. They're moving the ball. And, the last few weeks, I know Armstrong got hurt, and now they just look like a mess.
I agree, right?
Yeah, well, Miami is, again, they don't play consistent football from week to week. They look different here and there. Virginia's defense is not bad, though. Their defensive line is pretty good. So it doesn't surprise me that they're doing some decent things on defense. You keep waiting for D'Eriq King couldn't run the ball. He ran the ball a few times, but really didn't do anything. And when he's not able to run the ball, the running game suffers a little bit. So
definitely. So yeah, so me and TJ picked Miami for this game. This was the game that I messed up, and I initially thought it was Pitt. So we did correct it, and we did say we was gonna get Miami for that one. But let's go to our next game. We're gonna go to Auburn versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss was only 1-4 coming into the game, and they was close. It was close. It was 14-14 at halftime. Auburn did win 35-28. I know TJ has some words for us, so I'm gonna let him go first. What do you think about your boy Bo Nix?
Okay, so he played really well. Again, I would hope he plays really well against Ole Miss, because if you can't play well against Ole Miss,
I wouldn't say really well, but
he should probably move to fullback if you can't play well. But he played really well. Hat tip to you, Bo Nix. You can beat the worst defense in Power 5. He had a touchdown, 238 yards. He was efficient. And I said Tank Bigsby is going to be a big part of this game. He was really good. He had over 120 yards and a pair of touchdowns as well. However, do you guys know the common denominator in all three of Auburn's wins this season?
The running game?
Officiating related.
Oh, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Okay, so Lane Kiffin got fined $25,000 this week for ripping the SEC officials, suggesting there's a narrative to Auburn and why they're winning why they're getting these just egregious calls during these games. I wrote all three of them down in case the viewers forgot. So shout out to Lane Kiffin, $25,000 well spent, because those refs deserve it. They missed another call in this game. Ole Miss drives down, takes a 1-point lead on a touchdown, 28-27. They kick the ball off. The Auburn returner pulls up on the ball, lets it bounce past him, and it clearly goes off his finger into the end zone. The refs go back and are like, Auburn ball. And it's like, what? It's like you could clearly see it hit him, right? And it was a clear recovery in the end zone by Ole Miss. It's not like everyone just stood around. It should have been an Ole Miss 8-point lead. Instead, Auburn drives down and scores the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah.
And Lane Kiffin was just beside himself. So there's that call. There's the Arkansas call with the spike that should have been a fumble and an Arkansas recovery and an Auburn loss. And then there's the week one that wouldn't necessarily have been a loss, but the Chris Rodriguez, the running back for Kentucky, clearly scores a touchdown. Yeah. I mean, clearly he is like full body in the end zone, gets dragged out. They mark him short of the goal line and they fumble on the next play and Auburn runs it back. And oh my God, Auburn would be 1-5 or 1-4 without favorable refereeing right now, and the SEC needs to do something about these referees just missing these egregious calls. They're not close, like they're blatantly obvious.
Yeah, TJ, I'm glad you brought that up because I totally forgot about that. Ray, what do you think about the whole situation?
The officials are bad, man. We know that, and they favor certain teams. Maybe if Lane Kiffin was a better coach, they give him a call every once in a while. But he's not. So, I mean, it is Auburn, and I'm surprised Auburn's defense is as bad as it is, to be honest with you. I expect a little more out of them this year, but they're not giving it to me. So
they just don't look good.
They don't play together.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the guys on the field, you think, well, he's not bad. He's not bad. They're not bad. They just don't play well. I don't know. I wish I could put my finger on why,
It's the Gus on train. I mean, peak 1 year, plummet back to 500. Peak 1 year, SEC title game, plummet the next year. I mean, this must be one of those valley years because they were pretty good last year. So
they have all those defensive players. Yeah, they lost a lot of good defensive players. They did
lose some players last year in the draft, but and let's face it, Bo Nix is not a good quarterback. Unless he can run the ball, he's not good. So
and run the ball and play against Ole Miss. That's the key.
Yeah,
well, that's the key for everybody right now, apparently. So
I mean, like I said,
suit up against Ole Miss.
Like I said in preseason, he was one of the players that I had an eye on because I was hoping he took that next leap because he showed some promise last year. But he's still making the same exact mistakes he did last year, and it's no progress with me. So
the problem is he has talent, and he probably he's a good enough athlete to play at the next level, but not a quarterback.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into our next game. TJ, this is why I picked Louisville over FSU.
No,
this is why.
I was a little too optimistic.
Exactly. Yeah, you were. And this is exactly why I chose Louisville over FSU. I knew it was a little bit too good to be true with that last game they had, and they let Louisville just kill them. 169 total yards on their defense. I'm gonna start with Ray on this one though. Ray, how do you feel about that game? Them losing 48-16.
Florida State's a horrible team. We thought, and I kind of listened to you guys' podcast last week, even though I wasn't able to be part of it. And I think that we got a little bit, or TJ got a little bit too optimistic that maybe Florida State will let it carry over to the next week. But we saw they're just not a good team, man. They're not. So
it's crazy how bad they are. Go ahead, TJ. You can start defending yourself, man.
Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit last week. But Louisville's defense is not bad. Like it's really not. They played pretty good defense. They shut down good old Ian Book and the Fighting Irish. Too. But that's we talked about that.
Ray's like, that's not hard.
Finally looked really good, really comfortable. He looked healthy. And they were tearing up Florida State on the ground. I mean, they ran for almost 300 yards at nearly 8 yards an attempt all over Florida State. All that's the Louisville offense is really fast, and We think of Florida State, they're also pretty fast, but apparently not enough. And they got carved up. I was wrong. I should stop being so optimistic about it.
Apparently, a stiff wind could knock Ian Book off of his game. So,
Yeah, I'm not wrong there.
Definitely. All right, let's get into the game that Mr. Wine wants to talk about so badly. It's Rutgers beating Michigan State 38-27. Is Greg Schiano back? Is he back, or is it too early? All right, I'm gonna give my opinion first because I am a Michigan fan, and as a Michigan fan, I could tell you that Michigan State is terrible. They've been terrible. They're a terrible team, and this reflects on it. So it makes it hard for me to know if this is a Greg Schiano thing. It's still jury to be out, but I am glad to see him back in the in college football. It is great to see him back on Rutgers. Always loved when he was coaching for Rutgers back in the days, but I can't just jump on that bandwagon yet. TJ, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit of both. I mean, Greg Schiano had a ton of success at Rutgers, but I also don't think Michigan State is very good. They were in a spiral at the end of last year. Mm-hmm. They paid Mark D'Antonio $4 million to get up out of there, and he was like, all right. So that was a pretty easy decision by him. He pockets $4 million. Mel Tucker comes in, doubles his salary, and loses to Rutgers his first game. Yeah, they just don't. They don't really look. They don't look very good at almost anything. They don't. Yeah, they are a mess. It's gonna take some time.
Definitely.
Michigan State took the ball over 7 times. That's just not gonna cut it.
Definitely. Juan being the Rutgers alumni saying that Rutgers win, Penn State lose. I'm just dreaming. I get it, man. Ray, what do you think about this?
Like TJ said, Michigan State has a new coaching staff. It's going to take them a little while to get their feet under them.
Yeah.
And, Rutgers can only go one way because the last 3 years they've been really bad. So,
They haven't won anything in 3 years.
No, I'm looking – I mean, I like the fact that Schiano's back there. I mean, if you're from Jersey or you live in Jersey, you're glad that you're hoping that they can improve. It's kind of like being from – in this area, you kind of root for Temple to make strides and get a little bit better each year. Schiano, I mean, Rutgers never had success under anybody like they've had under Schiano. So let's hope they are going to go in the right direction. And I expect Michigan State to be really bad this year, and they are. So.
And Rutgers had to start winning some Big 10 games because
that
they
stat down there
relegated out.
Yeah, the stat that Juan's saying right there is definitely true. So it's been about 3 or 4 years.
We said the same thing about Kansas. Eventually, the league's got to say there's better options here for us to make money.
Definitely.
Especially in 10 where they're handing out, I think last year was $51 or $52 million a school for revenue. I mean, just that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Bigger you have to sell through Rutgers all the time. At
some point, you got to figure out some way to win, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to Iowa State versus Oklahoma State. This was a great game that was in there. Iowa State losing 21-24 to the undefeated Cowboys, Oklahoma State Cowboys. TJ, how was this game, man? I know you was watching this one live, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
It was. Oklahoma State's defense looks really good. I mean, Brock Purdy was struggling. There's a point in that fourth quarter he had 8 straight incompletions. They were all over him. They were pressuring him. The secondary looked really good. Breece Hall broke through for Iowa State for a couple big runs. He finished near 200, so he had a run of 66 yards. I think I wrote it down. Down somewhere. Maybe that. So he had 2 runs of over 60 yards. One is over 60, one of over 70. Outside of those 2 runs, he had 18 carries for 48 yards. So it's not like they were getting gashed every play. They got gashed on 2 big plays where an All-American caliber running back scored a touchdown. I mean, not the end of the world. It's going to happen. Otherwise, they were, shutting him down. It was a 10-point game up until Purdy absolutely needed a touchdown in the game, which, brought them to cover, which thank you, Brock. The Charlie Kohler was shut out. He had some bad drops in the game. Iowa State just looked a little rattled on the road. And Oklahoma State, they're going to be the best chance of the Big 12 in the playoff. I don't think they'll get there. I don't think they're explosive enough. I don't think the defense would hold up against some of the more superior talent. Foreshadowing this weekend, but we'll see that. And the offense is very meh with Spencer Sanders.
Definitely. Ray, how do you feel about your boy Chuba Herbert?
I think that he should come out of the draft last year, like I thought before, but he's doing okay. He's not setting the world on fire. He's not as good as he was last year. So
yeah,
I mean, Brock Purdy again is just not. He's not playing consistent football.
Very. He was once one of those draft picks that you're like intrigued about. Now it's like, will you even be drafted? I mean, I'm sorry to say it like that, but
I know people that really like Brock Purdy, and they thought coming off of last year like he was going to be. Is he quarterback 4? Is he quarterback 5 in this year's drafts? Wow. Right now he's in the top. He's not even in the top 10.
Yeah. He dropped off really hard.
To add on Chuba, like it's looking like a little, maybe not to the extent, but a little bit like Bryce Love. It just doesn't look the same. Like,
I think
especially as a running back, you got to get out when you can.
Mm-hmm.
I think, well, that's the thing we always talk about. Like if you have that big year and people are talking about you being a first round pick, don't wait. If you do, you're going to put yourself money. Almost every time. Unless you're playing for Clemson or Alabama.
Najee. I was going to say, those are the only 2 exceptions.
Etienne and Najee are both great. And it don't matter. They can go back. But let's face it, Chuba Hubbard at the next level is a 2-down back, and that's all he is.
Yeah.
He's no more than that. He doesn't catch the ball well enough to be anything. Right now, I wouldn't touch him before the 3rd or 4th round, to be honest with you.
Definitely. All right, let's go to our last couple of games. We're going to talk about Virginia Tech versus Wake Forest. Wake Forest upsetting Virginia Tech 23-16. Ray, this game was close, but it was not close enough. What do you think about this one, Ray?
I just think that Virginia Tech is another team that I kind of expected a little bit more out of this year.
Yeah.
I'm just not giving it to me. You know, I mean, Sam Hartman, 12 of 17 for 110 yards, and you lose to that team? Wow. Wow.
That's what I was looking at too. TJ?
Yeah, just this game was pretty underwhelming for me.
Mm-hmm.
A little shocked to see Wake Forest win at the end because I thought Virginia Tech was pretty solid, but
yeah,
I guess not.
The fact that Hooker threw 3 interceptions, I think that's what Ray was about to exactly talk about.
Exactly
you can't win.
Right. Your quarterback throws 3 picks, man. You're probably not going to come back from that, especially if you're not an elite team. You know, so
definitely. Yeah, that was one of the shockers of this week. We're gonna get into a couple of more shockers, but I definitely want to talk about this LSU game. They look pretty. They look like they're getting themselves together. 52-24 to South Carolina. South Carolina was actually rolling a little bit before this game until they ran into the LSU. TJ, what do you think about this game? Are the LSU Tigers back?
I don't know back, but they didn't have Miles Brennan. They had a backup. It was
exactly
TJ Finley, and he played really well.
Mm-hmm.
And they played up to their talent level. Like they have top 5 talent up and down their roster in the country, and they had not been playing like it, mostly because of their defense. This game, the offense looked great again, but the defense, like they gave up some yards.
Yeah.
Only 24 points. The points are what matter. Correct. And, give your offense a chance to build a big lead, and they did, and they looked comfortable. I mean, it was a little concerning the spread going into this game was only 7 points for, LSU. And they're like, all right, we need to we are better than this. We gotta play better. And they definitely did. And they look a lot better than they did a couple weeks ago.
Definitely. Yeah, they look a lot better. What do you think, Ray?
It's LSU, man. They're well coached. They don't have as much talent, obviously, as they did last year, but they're still a well coached team. So,
Definitely. All right, let's get into our probably the biggest game of the weekend, the biggest finish probably of the weekend. The Penn State losing to and Indiana in overtime, 1 point loss. It was 36-35. A very controversial play at the end. TJ, how you feel about that game, man?
Yeah, and Penn State gave this one away. I mean, they had some bad turnovers. They had a turnover on their own 5-yard line that led to Indiana points. Next possession, I believe. I wrote it down. I'm going to try and read through these notes as I'm talking. But then they drove all the way down to the other end of the field right before the half, about to score, turn the ball over, don't get any points out of it. So, 2 big wasted opportunities there. They more than doubled Indiana's yardage. They dominated time of possession. Clifford looked, decent. His throwing wasn't great, but he ran for over 100 yards as well. It's tough for Penn State because they've now lost 3/4 of their running back room since, summer, essentially. Journey Brown's out, Noah Cain's out, and another guy transferred to Old Dominion, I'm pretty sure. And that just leaves Devin Ford. So, yeah, they're struggling. Excuse me. Let me rephrase that. They made some bad mistakes in this game. That last drive they gave up to Indiana was not good. They allowed them to go down, get the 2-point conversion, and then in overtime. I mean, they blew this game. This game they should have had. They dominated statistically. It showed they had way better talent than Indiana, and they couldn't pull through. And it's crushing because that was probably the Big Ten's second best hope for the playoff, and you write them off after a week.
Definitely. Yeah, they lost Noah Cain. We got to talk to him at the ING Academy a media day a few years ago. Wish him best of luck. He's out for the season. Had high aspirations for him and hope he recovers really well. But Ray, how do you feel about this game and how do you feel about that controversial call at the end?
I don't think that the 2-point conversion. I thought it hit out of bounds before it hit the pylon. I do think it was a bad call, but I mean, you shouldn't have. Penn State put themselves in that position, like TJ said, about turning the ball over, not playing field position, having a situation to ice the game if the running back doesn't score that touchdown. You didn't know the situation, so what happens? You pay for it with a loss. And I hate to say it, their season might as well be over now, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Ray, you hit the nail right on the head. I was literally about to say the same exact thing. And Penn State should have won that game. I mean, they hurt themselves, but that last call was a bad call. I mean, it was really a bad call, but at the same time, you can't be in that position. So no matter what, you cannot put yourself in that position. You can't have it come down to a last minute call and overtime. You have to take care of business in regular time and, do your thing, not turn it over. So there's no excuses for that, but that was a bad call. That was a bad call. And they had a chance to replay it too. That's the
I thought he scored. But
you thought he scored? Wow.
I thought the nose of the ball was over the plane of the goal line.
I disagree with that.
I think the ball hit out of bounds before it hit the pylon. But again, Penn State put themselves in that position. And here's the thing that these teams don't seem to understand. This is always true in college football, but especially this year with the Big Ten teams only playing 8 games. You're going to win and lose or gain or lose momentum and spot in the top 25 with style points. If you're favored by 2 touchdowns, you better win by those 2 touchdowns. So either way, Penn State would have fallen in the rankings, and they wouldn't have been looked at the same. The fact that
they were only favored by 1 touchdown. It was only 6.5.
Okay. You're playing Indiana, and you're supposed to be Penn State. Okay, so I mean,
I get that. I was just
Yeah,
I only use a 2 touchdown as an example, but if you're favored by 6 and you really want to be that team that's looked up as we know they're not as good as Iowa State, so let's not kid about that. But if you want to have a chance to play in your conference championship game and make some noise down the road, You have to beat that team by 10 points.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah, I agree. And me and TJ already picked the Penn State to win that game. We both lost out on that one. So good thing we didn't put no money into it. I mean, I don't know if TJ did, but I didn't put no money into it. So it's a good thing we didn't put money into it. But let's get to our last game. You guys already know why I want to pick this game. It's Michigan versus Minnesota. They both was ranked teams. I think Michigan was 18, Minnesota was 21. I had no doubts, guys. No doubts.
Okay.
No. All seriousness, I was very surprised about Michigan winning that in that fashion. I thought it was going to be a close game. Defense really played well, but I will say I will give Minnesota a little asterisk next to that because their special teams really hurt them when they didn't have that punter. I'm gonna let TJ take it over because I know he have a lot to say about that as well.
It was tough for Minnesota. They didn't have their punter or their kicker. I bet money on this game. Big mistake. So my reasoning going into this game, Minnesota, I thought had the advantage at quarterback, wide receiver with Bateman and Tanner Morgan, and it was going to be cold, but it wasn't going to be too windy. And I thought Minnesota was going to come out and look really good to start the year. But I'm hat tipping Jim Harbaugh, man. Your offense looks modern now. Congratulations.
Wow. It was a convincing. It was a convincing looking offense. I will definitely say that.
It looks sustainable. Like it could play against Ohio State. Like there's speed and there's physicality. And I thought a way Michigan could have won this game was obviously they have better talent than Minnesota. Like that's not even a question. But like, are you going to put your talent in the best spots to beat Minnesota? And oh man, they did. I mean, it
did. It took a couple of years.
When Michigan was on offense, there's nothing that Minnesota defense was doing to stop. I mean, they're just too big, too strong, too physical. And, when you have a dual threat quarterback like Milton who could run and throw efficiently, it's tough to stop. And I really don't want to jump on this train too early. I really don't, because I know Jim Harbaugh is going to lose to Ohio State at the end of this season. However,
don't hurt me that fast. Give me some time.
They look like easily the second best team in the Big Ten.
Ray, what do you think about this Michigan win?
I am a Tanner Morgan fan also, and of course everybody loves Rashawn Bateman. They didn't do enough to get the ball in his hands downfield. I don't think everything was short to intermediate for him. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Michigan played well, man. They looked again. I'm not a Harbaugh hater like you guys. I think the guy's a good coach. I do think he's a little abrasive for college kids at times, which kind of hurts them. But I think that Michigan, especially with Penn State losing, puts himself in a good spot. They're in a good spot right now if they take care of business. Exactly. So we'll see.
We'll definitely say, I was very impressed by a few things. Me and TJ talked about this last week. I was very concerned about the wide receivers. They did a great job not featuring a receiver. I thought that was the best thing they could have done. It was not feature a receiver. I don't think there was one receiver with more than 3 catches. I'm pretty sure the one that got the 3 catches was our freshman. I forgot his name because there were so many new names out there. No, it wasn't even Bell. It wasn't Bell. Bell. I believe Bell only had 2. Hold on, let me see.
He had 4 receptions for 74 yards.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, Bell did have 4 receptions. He got those receptions late in the game though. But our leading receiver in most of the game was Wilson. He had 2 receptions, and Coram. He had 2 receptions. So I thought it was crazy. Like a lot of these guys, I'm like, who is that? Like we were really digging into that bag of receivers. I love that. Our running backs though, we got depth there. I was like Carbonet is the lead back right there. He's gonna be the one. He had a great one hitter for 70 yards, but we had Haskins out there. We had Evans out there. We had even Jackson got on the end around. I thought it was, and that first play was great. I thought it was awesome. And to get to Juan's comment right here, he said Michigan also played with complete reworked offensive line. Nearly everyone on the left for the draft completely agree with that. That was another big point that I was concerned about yesterday. Their offensive line played very well. Very well. I think that was the underlying thing.
You saw Michigan's offense step up, and maybe the key for them is to not focus on one guy. Maybe spread the ball around and use your athletes, because they were obviously way more athletic than Minnesota. So
for sure.
Another thing I want to add is that when Jim Harbaugh wanted to spread the offense out, go more spread, go more up tempo, score more points last year, because obviously you look at Ohio State now, it's like, all right, like you gotta score to match them. You can't, there's no more wishbone offense. Shea Patterson, it didn't seem like he was a fit for that offense last year. Not like he did, like it just didn't click. But it took me a quarter of watching Joe Milton last night, and he looked like he fit that like a glove. It looked perfect.
Definitely. Yeah, Milton looked comfortable out there too. That was another great thing. Remy, thank you for being on. He's a great guy. He says, what's going on with State College, SMH? We already talked about this earlier, but yeah, Penn State, Michigan State. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with those guys. Michigan State lost big to Rutgers, and Penn State with that very near loss. I'm not going to say they shouldn't have lost, because they should have lost, but that last call was bad. I got to say it like it is. Last one. He talking about Michigan State. Oh, okay. No, Michigan State is still throwing endless crossing patterns and not going. Oh, dude, let's talk about that real quick. Michigan State is notorious for that. The crossing routes, not going down the field. I totally agree.
Ohio State, not Michigan State.
That's in Michigan State. I'm sorry, Ohio State. I'm just going crazy. Yeah, Ohio State with the crossing routes. They've been doing that for years, Remy. I totally understand your frustration. Part of the reason why I didn't think Haskins was that good of a quarterback, because that's what he did a lot at Ohio State, and I think a lot of his stats were padded because of that. I want to get your quick takes on that. TJ, you got some?
Yeah, well, Justin Fields throws downfield quite a bit. It also helps when you have by far the best athletes at wide receiver, probably in the country. I mean, Ohio State, I think, has probably outside of Clemson, like the best set of like wide receiver prospects, athletes. I mean, I think they recruited 5 of the top 14 receivers recruiting class. Yeah. And like the guys they already have out there, like Chris Olave, I know is one of the best in the country. Garrett Wilson, former 5-star guy. I can't name the other ones off the top of my head, but they have like the best athletes. And when you have the best athletes, you put them in space, and you put them in space by running a ton of crossing routes, and it works a lot.
Yeah, right.
Ohio State's been running the same offense for years, though. What you see now is Justin Fields can take that second read and go downfield a little bit more, because he's a way better player than Dwayne Haskins was.
Exactly.
That's it. He's just a better player,
Yeah.
But that same offense is the same offense they've been running for like 10 years now. So.
Yeah, Remy says it started with JT Barrett and it limited his arm talent. And
when you have limited arm talent, that's fine though. And we know Dwayne Haskins has a better arm than that, but it's still Dwayne Haskins did not value his athleticism or his ability to put the ball downfield, but Fields is way better than that. And I honestly think Ohio State should be like the second team in the country right now. I do. So
definitely. All right, let's get into
there yet.
They do need to play more games and have a little bit better body of work.
Yeah.
But I mean, I keep hearing Penn State again. Ohio State will beat Penn State by 30 points. Put that in your book.
I also think it's not going to be close. Like, we'll probably get to that. I think that the margin between Alabama and Ohio State right now is like razor thin. I didn't really like obviously Ohio State lost a lot on defense from last year. The defense didn't look great. Nebraska still got a ton of yardage. They had a couple of bad self-induced turnovers. But otherwise, like, the margin there is thin, and then you obviously have a little bit more of a gap than you have Clemson.
Definitely. Yeah. All right, so we're not going to get into our questions of the day for today because we're running low on time. But I will say that Mark Gilbert opted out from Duke. I think he probably opted out because the team wasn't doing well, and it's no point to keep playing. Just get ready for the draft and things like that, as well as the running back. I think it was Hill. So yeah, Colin Hill also opted out from Mississippi State. So he opted out as well.
We talked about it. The purge at Mississippi State. Mike Leach is saying goodbye.
Yeah. So he opted out. So we definitely seeing some players opt out in the middle of the seasons. I guess if their team is not doing well, they're just opting out, which I guess makes sense in a way. But that's another discussion. We'll maybe squeeze that. Maybe we'll squeeze that in for next week. Real quick thoughts, Ray. You got something?
I mean, that's why I hate this whole thing about opting out. Yeah. I mean, these teams are supposed to start playing these players, right? That's what we've been hearing for like the last 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. But they have no loyalty to the team. They really don't. I mean, unless you're a really good team, a good player from a good program, there is no loyalty. Yeah. So you're a product. I mean, you don't want to be called that, but you're just a product. So Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to week 9 previews. So we're gonna try to run through this as fast as possible. So let me get set up right here because I'm not even set up, guys. But we're gonna talk about our first game, which is Temple versus Tulane. And where is my spreads? TJ, I'll get the spreads. Tulane's favored by 3.5.
Yeah.
Go ahead, TJ.
I don't think I've watched either of these teams for a single second this year, so I'm going to go with Tulane.
Okay. Ray?
I mean, I'm going to go with Tulane, but it's like every week I'm going to root for Temple, but I'll go with Tulane.
I'm going to go with Temple. I think they're better. I think they're going to be good this week. I like how they looked last week, so we'll see. I think they did lose last week, but they still played pretty tough. So let's get to our next game: West Virginia versus K-State. West Virginia is favored by 3.5. Ray, who you got?
I got West Virginia that game again. Like I like West Virginia's defensive line. They have some good players up on their defensive line. Again, they're favored by 3.5, so I'll take West Virginia.
TJ?
I'm gonna go K-State. I do like West Virginia. I like Letty Brown. I think he's really good. I maybe West Virginia's a better team. I believe K-State's at home. They have a significantly better special teams unit, which made a ton of. I know it's Kansas, but it made a ton of plays against Kansas last week. I think they had three kick return touchdowns, I think.
Yeah. So, K-State is actually away, so that changes their mind?
I don't think that changes it for me. So, yeah, I think the special teams will make a play might be the difference because the margin already is really thin. So I think on a neutral field, obviously, Vegas sees these two as equal about, and I would take the special teams to make a difference. And Will Howard, the quarterback for K-State, in for Skylar Thompson. He's been
playing well.
He's been playing well. So I'll go with him.
I am on the same track as you. I don't think this is gonna. I think it's gonna. I'm gonna say maybe a 7.1. I think that K-State is better than a lot of people think. They've been rolling. I'm rooting for them. I've been watching a lot of them actually. And I just like every aspect, special, like you said, TJ. Special teams been playing really well. Defense been playing really well. They got a really good running game, so the quarterback don't have to do too much. I love Braylon Moore, their tight end. He's been balling out. We got to interview him a couple of years ago, so I really do think that this team is on a rise. Deuce Vaughn been playing really, really well as well. So I just think that K-State, man, it's K-State for me. All right, let's get to our next game: Purdue versus Illinois. Purdue is favored by 7. TJ, who you got?
I'll take Purdue. I would take them whether or not Rondale Moore comes back. I hope he comes back. I love watching him, and him and David Bell are a really fun combo to watch. But I'll take Purdue regardless.
Right.
I'll take Purdue also. I think that honestly, the more games Rondale Moore misses, the more I think he's just looking more forward to the draft than he is to playing college football right now. So.
Definitely. I'm gonna pick Purdue, simply on the fact that I don't watch a lot of Purdue or Illinois games. So I'm gonna take Purdue simply because of the line. So I'm be truthful today. I'm be truthful. So let's get to our next game. We're gonna go with Cincinnati versus um Memphis. Sorry. Cincinnati is favored by 6.5. Cincinnati is home. Ray, who you got?
I'll take Cincinnati in that game. I think Memphis is one of the teams that like to score a lot of points, but I don't know if they can. I don't think they'll score enough points against Cincinnati to beat them. I think it'll be a little bit closer than the 6.5 points that they have as the line, but I'll take Cincinnati.
Okay. TJ?
I still can't believe Cincinnati's like 3 spots out of a playoff spot right now.
Yeah.
3 spots. I can't believe it. People thought Shane Bussell and SMU were going to show Cincinnati next week, one of the best offenses in the country, and Cincinnati was able to come out with a win. SMU didn't look the same offensively playing against Cincinnati. And Memphis is the same kind of team, and I think the same kind of outcome will happen, and Cincinnati will win. Their defense is legit.
Definitely. I'm kind of like with TJ is I think they're very similar teams. Really good offense. Memphis last game was like tremendous to me. That the Memphis versus who they play that they UCF. They play. Somebody's phone's going off. UCF. That game was incredible. I got to see that game. I'm torn on this game. I'm going to slightly give it to Cincinnati though, just slightly, by the slightness. So let's get to our next game. This is a big game for me to watch because I these two teams, Coastal Carolina is. We got to interview a couple of the guys this week, so that interview is coming out this week. So make sure you check that out. They had some great stuff to say, some cool after game celebrations. If you haven't seen it, go check that out. But Coastal Carolina versus Georgia State. Coastal Carolina is favored by 2.5, and they are away. TJ, who you got?
Do Coastal Carolina. I know their quarterback is out. That's pretty big. That's why the line is so small.
Yep, exactly.
But I'll probably still take Coastal Carolina.
Right?
Yeah, I'll go Coastal Carolina also. I think it's going to be like a fairly low scoring game, probably a little bit closer. I mean, I have between 1.5 and 2.5 as a line. I'll take Coastal Carolina. Again, it's two teams I don't really know a whole lot about. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, obviously I'm going to take Coastal Carolina, even though their sensational freshman quarterback McCall is out with an injury. But their backup quarterback, and I'm blanking on his name, he's a senior and he got experience. So he did a well job last week against Georgia State, and I just think that they're going to win this one. So I'm going to take Coastal Carolina. So let's get to our next game, Auburn versus LSU. LSU coming back with that big one last week. Auburn been looking sloppy. LSU is favored by 3. TJ, who you got?
This is easy LSU for me.
I figured.
I might go bet on this game right now. 3 points, that's it.
Yeah,
that looks like free money. Maybe Vegas knows something I don't, but
Auburn's home.
Usually do.
Maybe for recency bias too. But again, I like Auburn. Realistically, if there was perfect officiating, would be 1-5 or 1-4. 1-4. And LSU, even with a backup quarterback, looked really good last week against a team that beat Auburn. So I'm going to go with LSU.
Right?
Yeah, I'm going to go LSU too. Again, very prepared last week. Probably be very prepared this week. We got good Bo Nix last week. We'll get bad Bo Nix this week. I'll take LSU.
I still can't believe it's 3 points.
Yeah.
You know why? Because people don't know what to expect from LSU because they haven't played great either this year for a couple games there. So
yeah, there's going to be a clean sweep. I'm going with LSU as well. Don't trust Auburn. And like TJ said, they won by the skin of their teeth. So going that way as well. Let's go to TCU versus Baylor. TCU is favored by 2.5. Baylor is at home. Right here, you got.
I got TCU. I actually have a 5-point line in my thing I'm looking at right now. So I'll take TCU.
TJ.
I'll go Baylor at home. I really have no idea. These two teams have been a little underwhelming this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Both of them. I thought TCU was going to play a lot better after they beat Texas. They have not. They've done the exact opposite. So I guess I'll go Baylor at home. I'm not sure. Baylor, they kept it close against Texas last week, but Texas also just isn't amazing either. So
yeah,
Texas is that team though, man. They're not consistent at all. I mean, so
you could flip a coin and probably get pretty good odds.
You pretty much can. With a lot of these games, actually, you could just flip a coin.
Yeah. Definitely. I'm gonna go with TCU. Max Duggar just got the it factor to me. Not saying that he's the greatest quarterback, but he just got that it factor, and I think with a team that's kind of evenly matched, I think he's gonna take over. So I'm gonna go with TCU. Let's go to this game. Actually, we didn't have written. No, we do have it written down. I'm sorry. Texas versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma is favored by 3.5 points. They are home. TJ, who you got?
Jay, you're 2 weeks late on this game, or 2 weeks.
Texas versus Oklahoma State. Didn't I say that?
Oh, you said Oklahoma. I was like, did I miss Red River? Sorry. Actually, my upset pick. I'm picking Texas over Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, they've looked good. However, they played a lot of really close games. And what happens when you play a lot of really close games in a row and you win them all is that eventually you're going to lose a close game. And Texas, far superior in talent to Oklahoma State, recruiting wise. I mean, it's not even close.
Yeah.
And I think Oklahoma State has overachieved a little bit this year because, like I said, Chuba's been really down and Spencer Sanders has not impressed at all. And I think this could be a big Sam Ehlinger game. Go Texas. Hook 'em.
Horns up. Horns up today?
Yeah, we're horns up today.
All right, Ray, who do you think?
I agree with everything TJ said, but I'm still going to take Oklahoma State to win the game. So
I was about to say I'm going with Oklahoma as well. I actually think this is going to be the game that Chuba Hubbard's going to actually play well in.
He
I just
had
feel
very
like
good game. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. Okay, Drum. For some reason, your volume went way down on my phone, and I have a hard time hearing you guys right now. So
yeah, it seemed like the quality is going down, but we're about to get off really soon. So let's get these last couple in real quick. Let's go to we're gonna get this last one in. It's Ohio State versus Penn State. Ray, who you got on that one?
You didn't just ask me that, right? Come on. That game is 40-10 written all over it. I'll take the Ohio State University.
All right.
Yeah, I'm expecting Ohio State to play a lot better defense this week. They did not look great against Nebraska. I remember last year against Nebraska, they crushed Nebraska, and they didn't close. They looked a little leakier this week. I think they're going to fix it. Penn State's pretty beat up. It's going to force the ball in the air. Clifford's going to make some mistakes, and Justin Fields is just going to mow down that defense.
The problem is that Penn State don't have that running game like they did, man. I thought that was going to be the factor to at least get them close and keep the hands out of I'm blanking on his name, quarterback. Justin Fields. Yeah, Fields. To keep the ball out of Fields' hands, you got to run the ball, and they're not going to be able to do that no more because all the running backs are either banged up or opted out. So,
on the other side, Penn State had, Micah Parsons was arguably the best defensive player in college football, and he opted out, which, of course, will never blame someone for opting out. They're 100% their choice. This season will not make a difference of where he gets drafted.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a key. He would have been a key factor in stopping Justin Fields, but he won't get that chance.
Absolutely, but as like you said, Mika Parsons is going to be a top 5 pick, so it's not going to hurt him at all. So
yeah, he hurt his team, but it's not gonna hurt him not one bit.
he's going to look good in the Dolphins uniform, dude.
It's gonna look good in the Eagles uniform, brother.
The Eagles would never draft a linebacker in the first round. Forget about it.
I know. Hashtag fire Howie. All right, let's get off that. Guys, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. Please make sure you check us out on our Facebook, on our Instagram, on our Twitter at Inside Hashes. Please make sure you follow us on our Spotify, where you find all our player interviews on there. A lot of players that we talked about, we interviewed a lot of them, so make sure you check that out. That does support the company, so please make sure you do that. All you have to do is just listen. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to buy anything. Just listen. That's all you got to do. So, guys, thank you so much for doing that. And also make sure you check us out on Discord. We talk football. We talk college football on the weekends. We talk NFL football. We got fantasy questions. If you have fantasy questions in there, you can go in there and I'll ask all your questions on there. So just make sure you follow that link, and we'll add you right into there. So, guys, thank y'all so much for coming out today. Hope you all have a great weekend. Hope y'all enjoy y'all college football Saturday. And we will see you again next Wednesday at same time, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.